New York City. They call it the city that never sleeps. But at 2 a.m., the city doesn't sleep. It breathes. Most of us trust the neon lights and the crowded subways. Tonight, we dive into the terrifying true encounter of a man named Mark and his midnight ride on the ghost bus of Brooklyn. It was a Tuesday in October. Mark had just finished a double shift at a warehouse in Red Hook. He was exhausted. The trains were down for maintenance, and the last scheduled bus had long since passed. The rain was cold, soaking through his hoodie as he stood under a flickering street lamp. He checked his phone. 2:15 a.m. Battery 4%. Just as he was about to give up and call an expensive Uber, a pair of dim yellow headlights cut through the thick fog. A vintage 1970s-style transit bus pulled up. It was silent. No engine roar, no brakes squeaking, just silence. The doors creaked open. A sickly yellow light spilled onto the wet asphalt. Mark didn't think twice. He was cold and he just wanted to go home. He stepped up the stairs, but the moment his foot touched the floor, the air temperature dropped. It felt like walking into a meat locker. The bus was full. Not a single seat seemed empty at first glance. But as Mark walked down the aisle, he noticed something strange. The passengers were dressed in outdated clothes, wide collars, bell-bottoms, and heavy wool coats that smelled like mothballs. And they were all perfectly still. No one was looking at a phone. No one was talking. Mark found a seat in the back. He sat next to an old man in a gray trench coat. "Does this go to Atlantic Avenue?" Mark asked, his breath visible in the freezing air. The man didn't move. He didn't even blink. Mark looked down, and his heart skipped a beat. The man's shoes were covered in dried mud and old blood, and they were hovering 2 inches off the floor. He wasn't sitting. He was floating. Mark looked around in a panic. Every passenger began to slowly, mechanically turn their heads toward him. Their skin was pale, almost translucent, and where their eyes should have been, there were only hollow black voids. The bus began to pick up speed. The buildings outside became a blur of gray and black. Mark jumped up, rushing toward the front to tell the driver to stop. But as he looked into the driver's rearview mirror, he saw him. The driver had no face, just a smooth white surface of skin where features should be. Mark grabbed the emergency cord and pulled. Nothing. He slammed his fists against the doors. They felt like solid steel. Behind him, the passengers stood up in unison. A chorus of raspy, dry whispers filled the bus. "Join the route. The route never ends." Desperate, Mark grabbed a fire extinguisher and smashed the side window. As the glass shattered, he didn't see the streets of Brooklyn. He saw a dark abyss. He jumped anyway. Mark woke up on the cold, wet pavement near a bus stop in Brooklyn. It was 4 a.m. His clothes were torn, and his body ached. There was no bus, no fog, just the quiet city rain. The police told him he must have been mugged and hallucinated from the trauma. But when Mark reached into his pocket, he found something that the police couldn't explain. A small, yellowed paper ticket. The date printed on it, October 14, 1975. Research later revealed that a bus on that exact route had plunged into the river in 1975. All 22 people on board were lost. Their bodies were never recovered. So if you're ever in New York late at night and a bus with yellow lights pulls up, check the driver, because some rides you never get off.